Hello, I'm Sam Orlich, a product specialist for Heritage Audio here in Madrid, Spain, and today we'll be going over the Super 8. Okay, and now we're going to be going over the different connections, and there are quite a few of them, on the back panel of the Super 8. Okay, first up, we've got the mic input connections. These are all on XLR gold-plated Neutrik connectors, 1 through 8. Input, 1 through 8 output. Then we have the line inputs and the line outputs on D sub 25 connectors, and that's 1 through 8 input, 1 through 8 output. And this one up on top is this interesting one, because this is, if you remember earlier in the features, we're speaking about the possibility of taking the conversion not just directly from the preamp, but maybe if you were to go out to some external gear, maybe an EQ or compressor, and then return that back in, this is the connector you would use here, the ADC return. Because then by simply hitting this button on the front panel, this conversion would come directly from your compressor as opposed to directly from the mic preamp. It's an option you have. You can keep it clean and just go straight from the preamp to the conversion, or you can come back through a compressor or EQ and the ADC returns and send that on to the conversion. Alrighty. Now, in terms of digital connections, we've got two BNC connectors here, an input and an output, therefore enabling you to use this as either a master unit or syncing it up to a master clock. And once again, on the front panel, you'll remember we do have a button to select the different frequencies. And then you've got a 75 ohm termination button here, as well as a button to either choose between AES EBU or, if you hit it, SpeedIF. And that would be connected via a 9-pin connector here, which would go to a breakout cable. And then we've got the two ADAT outputs here, digital outputs. Okay, let's go over a typical connection. First thing you're going to want to do is connect the power supply, get the unit up and running. Then you would take a cable from your mic pre, slip that in. We'll just choose preamp number 1. Now at this point, what you could do is use your preamp and go directly to your ADAT output, optical output. Take that cable, take the output 1 for example, take the digital cable, slip that in, optical input up here on your sound card, and you're ready to go. Simple as that. But remember, you do always have that option of taking an output from your preamp, an analog output from your preamp, going on to a compressor, for example, returning that signal back in by the ADC return, D sub connector up here, hitting that button, and then now that signal will flow on to the digital output. Very convenient, very clean, and taking advantage of these high quality preamps has never been easier. Okay, now we're going to go over the different features that the Super 8 has to offer. As you'll have already noticed, what we have here are 8 preamps, 1073 style. And these are, yes indeed, these are 3 full gain stages, 2 input and 1 on the output. They are fully balanced and with our famous car and hill transformers on the input as well as the output stage. You'll see you've got a beautiful attenuator here that will take you from 20 all the way up to 80 dBs of gain. Now, the first 2 channels are special because they offer a couple other features. Specifically, you have a variable low-cut filter that'll take you from 20 all the way up to 250 hertz for a cut. We also have the option of a low Z, so that'll jump you back and forth between a higher 1200 ohm to a lower 300. Then you've got the pad, which is a minus 20 dB, as well as the phase button to give you a full 180 degrees flip right there. And very special with these two, we also have very high quality DI input as an option on the first 2 channels. Now you also do have a line button here, which will simply take your input up to 10K as well for the impedance. Now the following 6 channels are the same, except for obviously the direct input there, as well as the low Z, high Z option. And these all can then be sent out to a digital converter. And what we have here is quite interesting. We've got options, so you can either take the direct output from the preamp, send that out to the converter, or if you hit this switch, what you do is you have the option then with the D sub here on the back to take the input back in and send that to the converter. And why would you do that? Well, for example, maybe you're using a preamp and then you take the output of that and you hit a compressor and then you bring that analog in back in on the D sub 25 converter and you send that to the conversion stage of your ADC, analog to digital converter. If you're not using an external EQ or compressor, then you would just simply leave it as it is and go directly from the preamp. But this is a very fine option if you're using external outboard gear in combination with these preamps and you still want to take advantage of the conversion. Alrighty, what else do we got here? On the front panel, we've got the possibility to select the frequency for your conversion with the option as well with an external option. So maybe you're syncing it up to a master clock. And that about does it. Just really great 8 fantastic, pristine, high quality transformer coupled preamps in one box. All right, I hope we've been able to answer any questions or doubts you may have had about this unit. Nonetheless, always feel free to get in contact with us through our webpage.